Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Sianno, and I'm going to be using the 7th Estonian Rifles. Been a very long time since I put a 2v2 on the channel, and that is one of the reasons I wanted to bring this video to you guys today. The other reason being is it's been a while since I used the 7th Estonian, and this game turned out to be pretty fun, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to show them off once more. The 7th Estonian isn't the best division in the world, it's probably one of the worst, honestly, especially in team games, because it really kind of lacks any sort of heavy armor and sort of late game potential. It has quite a lot of early game potential if you were to maybe make it like a Vanguard or Maverick division, so therefore it has more potential in like 1v1 and 2v2, but in this case I'm still using my standard 3v3 4v4 balance deck. And it's just got a lot of infantry, which is to be expected. It is a rifle division. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going down at the start here. So I've got 2 of these 50mm mortars, I've got 2 Pioneerid, I've got the Laskerid and the Tapsuslaska, and I've also got the leader in there as well. I've got an Su-85 further back that's going to be trying to fire down the road and pick off any of these armoured cars. And then on the left-hand side, another Tapsuslaska and a BA-20, 2 more Laskerid with the Pioneerid, and another Laskerid further back with the 45 MT guns there, and 4 82mm at the start. Now the 82mm mortars are super important for fire support for my infantry. The main way that you make ground with the 7th Estonian is by pinning down your opponents and then advancing onto their positions, and you can also potentially use smoke as well to kind of screen your advance. The only trouble with using smoke as the 7th Estonian is they don't have an abundance of close range infantry. A lot of it is kind of like mid-range to long range infantry, like the Laskerid with the DPs, like the double DP 9 Mozins. That kind of setup is what you have more of, especially when you start bringing in like the Mustad Mandlit, which are the disheartened troops that the Estonians get their hands on. So you can see here I'm bringing in like a big mortar barrage onto the top side of this town where I saw him pushing in the Stostrup. I'm going to try and advance on that, but he is also using mortars as well. Crow is using the 25th Panzer Grenadier, which is another division that relies quite heavily on the infantry artillery gameplay. So we are kind of fighting for dominance in that throughout the game. Him using his mortars on me, I'm using mine on him, and it's all just about getting the timing right, getting the pushes in, and yeah, finding the ground from that. But it's going to be a lot easier for him to do that. He does have like the armored car support, for example. He's got like MG42s. He has like Panzergrens, which are obviously going to beat my Laskerid at range. So things are much more difficult for me. And he has managed to push me off this point early on. I do have some tricks up my sleeve later on. The 7th Estonian does get access to a couple of Andrushas, potentially, and also like a bunch of off-map. And there's also like the big bombers, of course, like the 2s, I think they are, which come with the like 1,000 kilogram bombs, which are pretty nuts. Anyway, one of my mortars is already going to be going down there. He hits a lovely direct hit with his mortars. I'm going to be able to pick off the SBW231 though, as I do have a T26, sorry, which is able to provide fire support at close range. And we'll look at this town a little bit later, but currently it's not too destroyed. Only this area has currently been annihilated by mortar fire. But continuing the engagements against the infantry, the 50mm mortars are really, really good here because they can aim really fast, and they're great for taking on the infantry that I'm coming up against. And they also have a really good amount of ammo. In this case, the Stostrup MP44 are going to find it. Pioneerid did manage to get off the TNT though and blow them up in return. But I'm not too worried. Like, these 50mm mortars are definitely expendable. They're only like 20 points, and you use them primarily for indirect fire. If they get caught out at close range like that, then it sucks. But they don't really have like a crazy range to work with in the first place, so that will happen quite often if you're using 20mm mortars, or 50mm mortars, sorry. T26s are on their way, bringing up a couple more. This one is going to be advancing with my infantry, which I've managed to get back onto this flag. So we're currently at a 13 to 11, as Sturmsource is using the 19th over here, and currently doing a number on J-Dog's 21st Panzer. Now the main thing that I need to do in order to secure my position here is take this area of trees, but it's kind of difficult because of the infantry that I'm up against. Now, he's matching me with pioneers for my pioneerid. He's got the Storstrup, and yeah, I've got like Glaskred, but the Storstrup with MP44s at close range are going to really like dominate any infantry that I currently have in Phase A. So that's currently what I'm working with. T26. I'm going to find a little bit of damage there onto the pioneerid. Didn't manage to get a man down though. But more infantry on the way, and this is definitely going to be the theme of this battle. Just lots and lots and lots of infantry, and that's one reason why it really became very fun later on. I do have a couple of KV-1Ss on the way. These big boys heading down the road here. They do have like a decent amount of penetration and obviously armor there, but the 27th Panzer, or 25th Panzer, sorry, has Stug 3s, and you can see Crows now brought them in. I can trade Su-85s to Stugs, and that's generally an okay trade. But my KV-1Ss are going to struggle to, get the damage in. Thankfully, they do cost, a significant amount less. Like, they are only 60 points compared to the 80 points of the Stug. But ideally, I'm going to want to get them close, so they do have penetration potential onto those Stugs. And then, if I can trade against a couple of the Stugs, I can then start continuing the push forwards. The T26s also have a reasonable chance at penetrating a Stug close up. Like 75 mils of penetration versus 90 mils of front armor at like 500 meter range is not too bad, honestly. You can see there, that's exactly what's going to happen. Stug 3 takes a shot in the front armor from the T26. So one of those already weakened significantly. And I'm going to be trying to get my Su-85. Now this is going to be me trying to like micro my Su-85 into position to engage the Stugs. So we're going to be ambushing. There we go, get the shot off. Going to pull that back immediately. And then I'm going to squeeze forwards. We're going to go for the next shot. Unfortunately, I do put my Su-85 in line of sight of this AT gun as well, so it does go down. Now my KV-1S is also going to be engaging the Stugs, and both of these are on half health. They've both been penetrated once. So I was hoping that I'd be able to kind of get a couple kills here, but my KV-1Ss were bouncing like 60% penetration, so it wasn't that great for me, and I ended up losing both my KV-1Ss and my Su-85, and the 7th Estonian don't have much armor to work with, so losing any tank is really painful, especially when your opponent still has like 3 Stugs and the Marder alive at this point. Like, it's putting me in a real predicament, losing all 3 of those tanks and not taking any in reply. Now Crow's going to be dropping some smoke down, and smoke in this case is my worst enemy because, as I mentioned before, a lot of my infantry thrives at like the medium to long range rather than at close range. So if he's going to be flooding in a bunch of like pioneers or Storstrup, then I'm going to be in trouble. So it's kind of what I'm waiting for at the moment. I was quite fortunate that he didn't really put any pressure on the left-hand side. I feel like this would have been a lot harder for me to take care of. But whilst this has all been going on, my 82mm mortars have been trying to counter-battery his mortars, and I've basically been moving them after every salvo so that he can't counter-battery me back. I am going to be bringing in some supply now to get them sorted out, and you can see I'm bringing them all back to a similar location so I can just plant the supply truck in the middle and get them all resupplied nicely. T26 does manage to kill the Marder 2 over here, but gets killed. So I'm quite happy with that trade. You know, T26 is only being 20 points after all, and I'm pretty sure Marder's like 50, so that's good value for money. And value for money is really what you're going for with the 7th Estonian. You're never going to trade, or you're never not going to trade, right? That's basically how you got to see it. Is you have to sacrifice troops in order to make ground with this division. It's the only way it works. Su-85 there is going to get the penetration with the APCR. I was tempted to turn off the APCR, but I left it on. We're going to trade. That's okay. It's not the best because, once again, me losing a tank is significantly worse than Crow losing a tank. Like, Crow losing a Stug is fine, but for me, losing Su-85 really kind of sucks. Nice bombing strike there, does take out my leader. That was unfortunate, but Sturm has managed to kind of secure this right-hand side for the time being. But that's okay. We're just kind of holding on right now, doing my best. I have brought in the 2 122mm mortars. Not mortars, howitzers. These things aren't the most accurate at range. You can actually get radio variants of these in another deck, but yeah, most Soviet divisions don't get the radios on their 122s. And these are great for AoE blast, i.e. pinning down a bunch of units in an area, because they do have a reasonable amount of suppression, but they are really, really bad at counter battery. So you kind of got to be a little bit wary of using them, of when you use them. Is probably the main thing I'm trying to get across here. Because if I say use them later in the game and I'm getting counter batteried, there is almost nothing I can do about that with the 122 mils. But having them early on is really useful because it allows me to, you know, pin down enemy forces and make ground. Anyway, into phase B now, and I'm going to just be charging in a bunch of my Mustad Mandlit. I've got these boys on the way, and I've also got the Tanki Desant Nikud, which are basically Tanko Desantniki, which are the 8-man squads with Molotovs. So those are going to be able to deal with the close range engagement for a little bit for me. Just got to make sure that they don't get sniped in a transports by these AAT guns. At this sort of range, it's not too bad for me if I'm in heavy cover and he's not in cover, but Panzergrens with double MG42s is always kind of scary. 37mm being forced to move all the time currently because it's getting mortared, and I am actually using my 122s to try and counter battery now. And 122s, as I mentioned before, aren't very good at counter battery. The best thing that I'm doing here is just pinning down the enemy troops. If I do luckily get a hit on target, we're likely to one-shot the enemy artillery, but that's, you know, kind of the thing you got to rely on is luck. Otherwise, you're just kind of pinning down enemy units in order to prevent yourself from being mortared in the meantime. The Stem Source has brought up an IS-2 to give me a hand now, which is really, really good because it's exactly what I need to back up the infantry advance. On the left side, you might have seen Crow got a really good engagement there. Both of my Tankos got hit by the same HE grenade from one of these Pioneers, and that really, really sucked. So I lost both of those squads pretty much, this one down to one man. I also lost the T-26 to the Panzergun at close range. Like, the combination of troops that Crow has compared to me is like so much better. And yeah, those are going to be forced back by another TNT. Bombs are coming in. That was these two B-25s from Sturmsource, from the good old 19th. They do look really cool. Pioneer, I'm trying to get the TNT down here in order to kill off the Panzergrens, and then we're looking to finish off the Pioneers. My Churchill did get in a bit of a sticky situation here. Initially, it came up to hold the close range engagement against the Stugs because it does have really good penetration against Stugs at close range with 115 mils of penetration. But due to the smoke, I didn't see the Panzergrens, and then obviously I walked straight into that. Yeah, I walked straight into that Panzerfaust. Pioneer though are going to be able to get a HE round across, so we're going to be able to do a decent amount of damage there, and the Mustad Mandlit going to be able to try and push them out with their rifles. So one thing that is really important about my engagement right now is keeping up veterancy. And I think that is something that's super important for the 7th Estonian to get value out of their infantry. So I've got this artillery leader here. I did bring in the commander. You might have seen it like zoom up here. I was kind of worried about having it so close because Crow might have spotted it and then tried to kill it. But in this case, it's just a matter of having it always in range to give the 2-star veterancy onto these disheartened units, which allows them to just be like so much more cost efficient. SU-152 does join Storm Source's IS-2 here, so the IG and the AT gun there are under pressure at the moment, and I'm also going to be now launching my 82mm mortars into the town once more. Just trying to hold on to this flag as much as I can right now. But look at this. We've got a bunch of points, so why not spend it on a bunch of Mustad Madrid? We are still in phase B, so 135 points per minute. I can bring in like 6 units of Mustad Madrid every minute if I wanted to, and there is quite a lot available to the 7th Estonian. In this case, I was just floating a little bit, just trying to work out what I wanted to do next. I decided on the infantry support for the IS-2 and the SU-152, plus a couple of Churchills. They're going to be replacing the one that died in the town. So getting these unloaded, and you can see the infantry starting to build. One nice thing about the 27th, or 25th, sorry, is that it doesn't really rely much on off-map. I don't think it necessarily has any off-map. So I'm kind of safe here to amass my infantry, unless, of course, J-Dog in the 21st Panzer decides to come across and give me a hard time with his off-map. But for now, I'm just trying to push as much as I can. Stern wants me to grab hold of this. I am already preparing to do that here. As you can see, I've got these 4 Mustad Madrid with a leader ready to push up into that sector. But ultimately, just the infantry is arriving and starting to push forwards through this town. It's just crazy. And this town really becomes absolutely destroyed by mortar fire throughout this game. Yeah, the Churchills are getting on the way, and this time around I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to make sure I have my infantry ahead and ready to go. These are all falling back because they're disheartened, so they're kind of forced to. And I'm not sure that you can even get like... You have like some kind of like military place, I can't remember what they're called. They're like Smirsh, I think it is. Anyway, I probably should have had a couple of those because it would have definitely helped my Mustad Madrid fight a bit better. But for the most part, it's generally a good thing to allow the disheartened units to fall back automatically, because it does save them a lot of the time, and then allows you to push them back into the fight, ready to go again. Really nice paint job on this SU-2, by the way. Comes in with 10 AT rockets, super strong. Really, really nice. Actually really good at taking on like these Stugs, for example. And you saw me, I think I was originally going to go for the Stug, but then I changed it to the Marder. But here goes the Mustad Madrid. They are now pushing forwards, and the Churchill's supporting them. The Churchill has taken damage here, but we're just gonna be charging on forwards. It's so awesome. So find a couple of these Sosup MP44s. If they engage me out of cover, then I'm going to be having a hard time. But this SU-2, it was hanging around for a while. I did manage to spot the the Stug. And the nice thing about the SU-2s with their rockets is that they can spot their own targets, right? You don't need to... It's not like where you have like a Typhoon AT and you bring it in and then you lose line of sight and your Typhoon AT can't fire the rockets because it can't see the target. It's not like that. Like the SU-2 will almost always be able to shoot the thing that you target it to attack. So you only need to see the unit for a brief second, right-click it, the SU-2 will go in for the attack animation, like go in for the dive, and then it will spot it at close range and launch its missiles, or rockets. So it's really, really good. Cheeky kill there onto the BF-109 G4. Those G4s are very brittle, that's for sure. But yeah, the abundance of infantry here you can see is certainly starting to build up And yes, we're being hit by J-Dog's Wilfa, but it's not too bad. We still have plenty of troops moving forwards, and even if the Panzergrens are fantastic at range, even if the MG42 is good at range, it's still going to take a ton of damage against this many Mustad Mantlid. The Ju-87 or Ju-88, sorry, coming in from J-Dog as well now. They are going to be providing some nice support there. I was hoping to at least shoot one of those down, and we do manage to clip one at the end there. MU-410 now coming in as well from Crow. He's looking to kill one of my Churchills, but we now have reasonably sufficient AA on this side, providing a nice 85 there, and also the 37 on the left. So I think since, you know, Stern was always going to have a hard time pushing across the open here, especially with his armored vehicles against King Tigers, he decided to, you know, help me on the left-hand side. And that's definitely allowed me to focus way more on building up my infantry, whilst he provides like the armored support here. So kind of bailed me out from the pretty tough situation that I was in. Wasn't necessarily like a losing situation, but as I mentioned early on, the 25th Panzergren relies quite heavily on the infantry artillery gameplay. We do the same, so it's kind of difficult for either side to really push. Now, ultimately, later on, I can, of course, bring in the Andrusha, which would allow me to do really, like, significant artillery infantry pushes, and that's kind of something I was waiting on throughout the game. You know, as well as the bombers, you know, is another potential there, but it requires me to arty all of the enemy AA and such. We're currently on 15-9. My Lascarade here have managed to kind of push out in the open, managed to get past the abundance of fire that they came under, and they did leave some men behind, but the 4 men carry on into the heavy cover, and that's not covered by our opponents, so we're able to get the 15-9 for now. Able to get some of these guys into the heavy cover on that side as well, which is really, really good. So yeah, it's just a matter of continuously pushing forwards with all the Mustad Mantlid and finding ground, and we eventually completely cleaned out this side, so that was good as well. I got the 2 SU-2s coming in. These SU-2s are looking for kills onto the SDK Z11 flaks, which are the flak 20mm on the back of the trucks. And then I've got the 2 big bombers, the Yer-2s, and these bad boys, sorry, my camera's being funny. These bad boys have 3 1,000 kilogram bombs. So the left one, I believe, gets forced to fall back, but this one does get its bombs off. And anything that was in this tree line is no longer in this tree line. Yeah, you can see the front line shift as anything that was there got destroyed. I think in the end it was probably just the IG that was sitting on that side, but I'm going to be selecting all my Mustad Mantlid now, giving them a nice attack order to push forwards. The Ju-88 did come in with the cluster munitions. I think it was going for the IS-2. Unfortunately, my T-26 kind of took the brunt of that. But yeah, again, just continuing the push, and here we go. Look at all this infantry just pushing forwards. This is the one thing that I just really wanted to like point out throughout this game. It's just how cool it was for all this infantry to be pushing forwards, and yeah, the game is lagging a little bit right now when I'm zoomed in like that, but just due to the sheer amount of troops pushing forwards. All of these boys as well. Moving up and around the lake. Just charging forwards, trying to take ground. We do actually manage to get influence over that flag as well, so we're currently 17-7. We did capture this flag for now. I missed that Mantlid. You can see that I'm microing these to kill the 20mm. So what I'm doing is every time it's about to fire, I'm moving out of range and it resets the reload, or resets the aim time, sorry, on the 20mm. So it allows me to get that kill in there. Another nice thing actually about these Mustad Mantlid is they do have 4 MP40s. So at the super close, like 100-meter range, they can put out a decent amount of DPS. Yeah, forwards, my men go. Past the burning vehicles. Onto enemy fire. Got the BA-20 with us to provide recon onto the enemy forces. And the 122 is still doing their job. So here comes one of my Andalusias. That's targeted on the IG-33 here. The IG is kind of my worst enemy in this scenario because other than off-map, the IG-33 is probably the next best thing. It can do a lot of damage to infantry over time, so I'm hoping to take that out with the Andalusia. It's a very bad practice to fire your artillery from the road because basically what that does is cause the enemy to counter battery you on the road where you're reinforcing from, so any like infantry that's coming in will get unloaded. But in this case I was just kind of desperate to get rid of that IG, clean out anything else that got in my way. I managed to clip the Armada there with a rocket as well, so that was nice. And we pinned down some of the other Panzergrens nearby. A lot of these men have been forced to fall back due to those Panzergren engagements. And you saw that also the opponents here, I think Crow had a 280mm Werframmen, so not Werframmen, Nebelwerfer, so was able to, you know, pin down a lot of my forces as well, which is why a lot of them are running away because they are disheartened, right? So they do that automatically. And bringing up off map now, definitely going to help us secure this town that we're pushing toward. Most advantage, they're going to be taking a little bit of a bombing strike to the face, but the last grid are the ones that are actually capping that in the end. I think I just had them running that way to try and actually get into this town and try and cap that flag for good. We're still sitting at the 2 times income here. King Tiger's just pushed forward super aggressively here from J-Dog, but here come the Mitchell bombers. Is not good news for his King Tiger, because if it does get pinned down, then, you know, any of these squads could probably surrender it if the front line falls back over it. In this case, looks like J-Dog's. Yeah, he's going to be falling back here. The PTRS actually, they're causing it to be falling back. And now probably going to look for the surrender onto that King Tiger that's very isolated. But I believe J-Dog just kind of doing that in order to try and force that flag towards the end here. Sturm's battery of Katyushas. Look at that. Ready to go just in case any of these King Tigers need a hand. The King Tiger wasn't pinned fully there, so it couldn't surrender it in the end. Crazy stuff. Right, 10 seconds left. A bunch of my Mustad Mantlid being cowards and running away. I just burned town as we progressed toward the enemy. Very fun game. 28 minutes, 14 seconds. 2011 or 2,115 kills to 1,585 losses. Shermsource, you know, did pretty well. He had IS-2s, he had, you know, the SU-152s, he's got all the stuff he needs with the 19th to do a good job there, so yeah, nicely done, and definitely gave me a good hand on that left-hand side against Crow, and as soon as, you know, he provided that nice armoured support for me, I could just go straight into like full-blown infantry push, and it really, really works well against divisions that don't have a crazy amount of off-map. For any of you who have watched some other videos, a good example of that is the Gebirgsjäger video, where I managed to push quite effectively with condensed infantry, which is something that you really don't generally want to do because of off-map, but due to that DLC, the Italian DLC not having much off-map in it, my opponents didn't have off-map to deal with that, so it worked out really well. So this is a similar scenario to that is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, definitely go check out that video. It was good fun. The Gebirgsjäger video. It was called Moving Mountains, if you want to search for it. But there we go. Yeah, fun game. yeah, that's all there is really to say about it. The 122s, you know, they did well, providing sort of like HE splash in order to pin down enemy troops. Some of my infantry, like the Pioneered, did really well. The nice thing about the Pioneered is they are Superi, but they have the PPS 43, which is slightly better at close range as their submachine gun. So that's kind of cool. And then there's the Mustad Madlid. The Andorusha did manage to kill the IG and the Marder 2 for me later on. I think as the game gets later in that situation, as soon as I get my hands on the Andorusha, things become a lot easier for the 7th in this sort of scenario. I think in a general like open 3-3-4-4 scenario, it's kind of bad because all that ends up happening is you just run out of infantry and then you lose. But in this scenario where it's a bit more condensed on like a smaller map in a smaller game, I think the 7th definitely has a lot more potential. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.